Okay, welcome back everyone. I'm going to continue with our content here at the retreat, helping you guys to understand the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths is the very first teaching of the Buddha, where you can understand in four simple statements the problem in the mind, the cause of the problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. This is where the Buddha would start each one of his new students so that you could understand what's causing these feelings. If you didn't understand what was causing your anger, your frustration, and all these other discontent feelings, how would you ever be able to eliminate it? So that's why he would start you with this teaching, and he would call it a breakthrough. That if you can learn and understand the Four Noble Truths, you can have a real breakthrough, because you can break through understanding what's causing these feelings. Because what people firmly believe in the unenlightened state is that it's other people who are causing you to experience a certain feeling. But you're going to be able to see in the Four Noble Truths in a way that you can independently verify that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. But you're going to need to actively learn to be able to understand. It's not going to just come to you automatically. You're going to need to be able to eagerly listen with eager ears to be able to actively understand the teachings and then reflect on them to independently verify them, and then ultimately to practice them. And that's what's going to help you to train your mind. So I'm going to walk you through this in a way that you can understand. And as we go, just like always, you're welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. In order to teach you the Four Noble Truths, I need to first teach you the three universal truths. We call them truths because the Buddha knew that they were true. I know that they're true, and other people know that they're true. But in order for you to benefit, you're going to need to know that they're true. And that's why you're not interested in believing anything that I have to share with you. What the Buddha is going to do is he's going to teach you how the world is. By understanding how the world is, you will navigate the world more peacefully. The Buddha isn't explaining to you the way the world should be. He's explaining to you the way the world is. And by you learning, reflecting, and practicing his teachings, that's going to help you to cultivate wisdom about the world around you, the natural laws, and now you'll navigate the world more peacefully. So this first one here, I'm going to show you how to learn it, how to reflect on it, and then how to integrate it into your day-to-day life to be able to get the benefit out of it. So this first one here is the universal truth of impermanence. This is a building block. These three universal truths are building blocks to help you understand the Four Noble Truths. Without understanding this, you wouldn't be able to understand the Four Noble Truths. So the universal truth of impermanence is helping you to understand that things around you are constantly changing. This is so important to understand, that things arise, they change, and then they fade away. This is called impermanence, or the universal truth of impermanence. These are called conditioned objects, that they arise, they change, and they fade away. Everything around you that you can see, hear, smell, taste, anything that comes in contact with the body or any thoughts or ideas that go through the mind, it is all impermanent. It's constantly changing. It's arising, changing, and fading away. These are called conditioned objects. But then there's something called unconditioned objects. Unconditioned objects do not arise, they do not change, and they do not fade away. Enlightenment is that way. Once you get to the enlightened mental state, it is a permanent mental state. Your mind will never regress backwards. It'll be permanently peaceful and joyful. And also the natural laws that the Buddha taught during his lifetime, these are permanent too. They don't actually change. They are unconditioned. But everything else in the world, anything you can see, hear, smell, taste, anything that comes in contact with the body or any thoughts or ideas that go through the mind, these are all impermanent. Okay, so now that's a little bit of the intellectual learning about the universal truth of impermanence, but you're not interested in believing that. So you need to move into reflection to independently verify if what I'm sharing with you is true or if it's false. So what you do is you look around the world to determine whether it's true or false. Because if this is a universal truth, you should be able to independently verify it. So what I suggest you do is you start with something that you're familiar with, like this human body. You're familiar with this human body. Ask yourself, is this body permanent or is it impermanent? If it's permanent, it's been exactly the same your entire life. If your body is impermanent, then that means it's constantly changing. So what would you say? Is the body permanent or impermanent? It's impermanent, right? It's constantly changing. Ever since the egg and sperm came together, this body's been constantly changing. We get taller, we get shorter, our skin complexion changes, we get pimples, moles, wrinkles, we get gray hair, we start losing our hair, our teeth grow in, then they fall out, then they grow in some new teeth. This is the constant change of the physical body. Okay. What about your relationships? Are your relationships permanent or impermanent? If they're permanent, that means you've had exactly the same people in your life, and you will have those people in your life your entire life. If your relationships are impermanent, that means you've had people coming and going in and out of your life your entire life. So what would you say? Are your relationships permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, right? People are coming and going in and out of your life all the time. You can see that we had a person here earlier, and now she needed to go check out of her hotel, so she's left, right? We have a different number of people even in the class, right? Relationships are constantly changing. What about your bank account? Is your bank account permanent or impermanent? It's impermanent, right? Going up and down and up and down. Some people's goes up, up, up. Some people's goes down, 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 right? This is the impermanent nature or change that you're experiencing because of the universal truth of impermanence. What about the weather? Is the weather permanent or impermanent? It's impermanent, right? Constantly changing. So we could go on and on and on and on. And if you need to do that, you should, because you need to look around the world and you need to be able to see the wisdom that everything around you is constantly changing, right? Even the wood planks on the floor of the temple, some of them are longer or shorter. Some of them are different color, different texture, right? That's normal, right? That's just change. Like I said, there's different number of people in the class every day. That's just change. That's all that is. People are constantly coming and going. That's impermanence. So this is a universal truth that is going to be a building block to help you understand the Four Noble Truths. So right now you can have the wisdom that everything around you is constantly changing. The second universal truth is called discontentedness. Now, some people refer to this as suffering. I don't refer to it that way. If you've learned the teachings of the Buddha in other places, they might have used the word suffering. But I'm going to explain to you what this universal truth is, and then I'm going to circle back and explain to you why I don't use the word suffering. What the Buddha is doing here is he's teaching you about the unenlightened mind and what the unenlightened mind experiences. He's helping you to understand that the unenlightened mind experiences three feelings: pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. These are called conditioned feelings, that based on some condition, the mind will experience pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. So if it's sunny outside, based on that condition, you might get happy, right? Because of the condition that it's sunny. Or if your bank account balance is up here, you might get happy. And that's a conditioned feeling. There needs to be some condition met, and then you will be happy. Then there's painful feelings like sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. These are very painful for the mind to experience. And once again, those are conditioned. Based on some condition, you will experience this feeling. Then there's neither painful nor pleasant. Okay, these are things like, I've put boredom and loneliness here, but some people say that's very painful for them. So you could put that in the painful category if you like. But shyness is a good example. It's not painful, it's not pleasant, it's neither painful nor pleasant. Or like, let's just say you are on public transportation and somebody comes and sits really close to you and you don't know this person and your body's touching their body. You might say, it's not painful, it's not pleasant. Maybe your mind's just uncomfortable or dissatisfied, right? That's the neither painful nor pleasant feelings. So these are called conditioned feelings. Essentially, the unenlightened mind is going up and down at different times based on some condition. So if you wake up in the morning and you look outside and it's sunny, you might get really happy and really excited. Yay! I'm going to go outside and play with the elephants today. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to go. This is going to be so exciting. Yay! Right? Now you go take a shower and you come outside and it's raining. And now you're frustrated or angry or irritated. That's because you allowed your mind to get so excited based on the condition of the sun, and the sun is not permanent. So that means when the sun goes away, your happiness goes away. This is why you haven't been able to get to permanent happiness. So I'm going to explain this for you more when we get to the Four Noble Truths. But an enlightened being, they don't experience this. When they wake up in the morning, they're already happy. There doesn't need to be any condition met. It's unconditioned happiness, right? The unenlightened being, they can only be happy when certain conditions are met. If the weather is this, if my mom and dad does this, if my boss does this, if my bank account is this, if I have this kind of house, if I have this kind of car, if I have a boyfriend or girlfriend, then I'll be happy. All these different conditions. So that means your happiness shrinks because all those things being true is not likely. It's not possible for all those things to be true permanently. So therefore, if you allow your mind to experience happiness when you get all these things met, then that means when they're not met, your mind's going to be sad or angry, experiencing painful feelings. So an enlightened being is beyond all of this. Their mind is experiencing unconditioned happiness or unconditioned joy or unconditioned peacefulness. It's just always in that mental state. There doesn't need to be any condition met in order for the mind to experience the peace and the joy. So these are called conditioned feelings. This is where the mind is shaken up. It's unsteady. It's uncalm. Have you ever been so excited you like tripped and fell, or you dropped something and broke it? Right? You can see your mind is like shaken up during that period of time. That's the discontentedness. That's the unwholesome result of allowing your mind to become discontent that you tripped and fell or you broke something, right? So this is called discontent, discontented, or discontentedness, where the mind is shaken up. It's unsteady, it's uncalm. And now it can't make wise decisions when it's in that state, right? So some people refer to this as suffering. I don't talk about it that way because, in my opinion, suffering describes the painful feelings really well, right? But you'll hear this throughout the Buddhist world that people tend to say that Buddha taught to eliminate suffering. Well, he did, but that's not everything that he taught. And if all you understood is suffering, you wouldn't be able to fully understand what the Buddha was teaching you here, because he's teaching you to eliminate conditioned feelings. And you probably wouldn't describe pleasant feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant, as suffering. Like if your boss came in and gave you a raise, maybe they gave you $20,000 more per year and you got really excited about that, you probably wouldn't say you were suffering, right? Or if your mom calls you and says, hey, I'm going to come visit you this weekend and we're going to cook that favorite meal that you always like to cook, and you got really excited about that, you probably wouldn't say you were suffering in that situation. Or if that person you don't know came and sat really close to you on the bus and your mind was discontent, you probably wouldn't say you were suffering when that person was sitting next to you. So if you use the word suffering, you're only understanding 33% of what the Buddha taught, which is painful feelings. You're not understanding the other 66%. And if you're missing 66% of what a person is teaching, how could you ever get to the ultimate goal? So you need to be able to see these conditioned, pleasant feelings as part of the problem, that based on a certain condition, your mind will then be happy. Because if you allow your mind to do that, then when that condition is no longer met, your mind is going to end up in the painful feelings. So you need to be able to see the pleasant ones just as much a part of the problem as the painful ones. But remember, we're talking about conditioned feelings here, that it's only when these conditions are met that your mind can be happy. What you're working to get to in the enlightened mental state is where you're experiencing unconditioned happiness, unconditioned joy, where there doesn't need to be any condition met in order for the mind to be happy and joyful. And that's where the peace is. That's where the liberation, that's where the enlightened mental state is. So this word discontent, discontented, and discontentedness brings your mind to the full understanding that the Buddha was talking about, the full spectrum of emotions and feelings that the unenlightened mind experiences. Now remember, you're not interested in believing any of the teachings of the Buddha. They're not based in belief. You need to independently verify whether this is true or false. So if the Buddha is describing what the unenlightened mind is experiencing, and you know that your mind is unenlightened, well, ask yourself, is this what you experience? Do you experience pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant? Are there any feelings that you've experienced in the course of your life that doesn't fit into one of these three categories? Because if you can identify that, then this isn't a universal truth. So when we get to the question period, if you think there's a certain feeling that doesn't fit into this, let me know and we can talk about it. Okay? Then we have the universal truth of non-self. I'm going to explain to you what this is, but first, I'll share with you that what the Buddha is teaching you here is this is a solution to one of the problems that he discovered in the mind. There's 10 individual problems that the Buddha discovered. It's called the 10 fetters, or the pollutions, or taints, or defilements. All of his teachings are teaching you to uproot those pollutions out of the mind, and that's what's going to allow you to experience the peace and joy of the enlightened mental state. The very first pollution is called personal existence view. I'll explain to you guys what this is, and then I'll explain to you the universal truth of non-self, because that's the solution for personal existence view. What personal existence view is where the mind has the pollution or the misperception or the misunderstanding that this body or this mind is you. This is who you are. And now the mind will cling to a self-image or a self-identity, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. And when you're being perceived that way, you're happy. But when you're not being perceived by people in a certain way, you're going to experience some painful feeling, some conditioned feeling. So for example, if you've ever been in a social situation and you spilled something on your clothing, like ice cream or spaghetti sauce or something like this, you might have experienced embarrassment. That embarrassment is arising because of your personal existence view. Your mind thinks that this body is you. You're clinging to a self-image, wanting other people to perceive you in a certain way. And when they're perceiving you that way, you feel happy. But when they're not perceiving you that way, you feel embarrassed, for example. Or if you've ever gone to a mirror and you saw a pimple or a mole or a wrinkle or something like that, or a gray hair, and you were shaken up by that, that's your personal existence view, clinging to this body, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. Or maybe you stood in front of your closet and you thought, who am I going to see today? And how do I want to appear? What do I want to wear? And maybe you put on certain clothes, you looked in the mirror, you're like, no, that's not how I want to look. You put on another set of clothes, no, that's not how I want to look. And you put on a third pair, you're like, all right, now I can go outside. I feel comfortable to go outside, right? Or maybe you were like me, where you got mousse and gel. I used to do this when I was a kid. I used to run it through my hair, trying to get every little hair in exactly the right spot. And I couldn't go outside to school until I got every little hair in exactly the right spot, right? And sometimes I did this so much that I would actually miss the school bus, right? This is personal existence view, clinging to this body, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way, clinging to this self-image, thinking that this is who you are, and only feeling comfortable when people are perceiving you in that way. Then there's the self-identity that you can cling to. This is based on your culture, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your job or occupation, any number of things that your mind can cling to, thinking that this is who you are. So for example, I am Chinese, or I am Spanish, or I am Mexican, or I am American, right? Any of this I am. Maybe I am a boyfriend. I am a girlfriend, right? So now when you're in a relationship and you're a boyfriend or girlfriend, your mind's like, I feel good. I'm a boyfriend. I'm a girlfriend. But then when you guys break up, you're single and your mind doesn't identify with that. And now it wants to hurry up and get right back into another relationship, perhaps. Or maybe you're at a restaurant and 2 tables over, somebody says, oh, Chinese people are loving and kind and warm and gentle. And you're like, wow, they're talking about me. And you feel so great. But now 2 tables over, they're saying something negative and degrading and disparaging about Chinese people or Spanish people or American people. And now if you have the identity in your mind that I am an American, and now when they're talking negative about American people, you'll be frustrated and agitated because that's who you think you are. So what the Buddha teaches you as the universal truth of non-self is that there is no self. This isn't who you are. This body isn't you. This mind isn't you. But your mind will cling to the self-image and the self-identity, thinking that this is who you are. And now you can't be peaceful and joyful in all situations, because it's only a matter of time before somebody says something negative and degrading about something that's going on within your mind, some identity that you're holding on to. Right? So we're going to talk about this a lot more tomorrow as part of our class. I'm going to spend a whole hour to an hour and a half just talking about personal existence view and the universal truth of non-self. But here I'm just going to introduce it to you so you'll understand it a bit. And now I'm going to help you to independently verify it. Okay, so you need to independently verify each thing that I'm sharing with you, because I'm sharing with you that there is no self, right? But your mind, with its misunderstanding, is going to cling to a self, thinking that this is who you are. So think about your self when you were a child, teenager, early adulthood, and now. Think about your personality and your character. Have you thought about yourself in exactly the same way, or has it been constantly changing throughout your life? It's been changing, right? So there you can see there's no permanent self, right? Here's another way. If your arm was amputated and you only have one hand and one arm, are you less of a person? Gala is shaking her head no. What about you, Ann? Are you less of a person if you only have one hand and one arm? No? Okay. So there you can see intellectually, you understand that this body isn't you, right? Because if this body is you, when I ask you that question, that you only have one hand and one arm, are you less of a person? You would say, yes, I'm less of a person because there's less body, so therefore I'm less of a person. But intellectually, you understand this body is not you. That's why you answered that question, no. But in the heat of the moment, if someone says, wow, that shirt really brings out the color of your eyes. You look so beautiful wearing that shirt. You might get so happy and excited. But then when somebody says, wow, why did you pick that shirt? That shirt looks horrible on you. You would be disappointed or frustrated or agitated because your mind's confusion. And in the heat of the moment, the mind doesn't have that wisdom to be able to understand that this body is not you. So here's a third way that you can independently verify this. Point to yourself. Where are you? Those of you guys online, can you point to yourself? Where are you? Right? Somebody might point here to the chest or to the head, right? This is a common place that someone will point. Well, if you're pointing to your chest, look at what you're pointing to. What you're most likely pointing to is a shirt. Ask yourself, is that who you are? This shirt that you're wearing? Like if we took off this shirt and we held it up and we pointed to it, is that you, that shirt that you're wearing? No, that's not you. So let's throw that away, right? Okay, where are you? Someone might point again. Well, what are they pointing to? They're pointing to skin, right? Is that skin you? If we ripped off the skin and we held it up and pointed to it, is that who you are? The skin? That's not you, right? So let's throw that away. Where are you? And someone might point again. You're pointing to bones and muscle tissue and organs and fluid, right? None of those bits and pieces and parts are you, but your mind's going to keep thinking that this is you. That's the clinging that the mind does with personal existence view. But ultimately, you need to get to the point where you realize this is not you. And then that's where your mind can be more peaceful and more joyful. Because as long as you're clinging to this body or this mind, thinking that this is who you are, you can't be peaceful in all situations. Because it's only a matter of time before somebody says something negative and degrading about your physical appearance or some identity that you're holding on to. Or you'll experience some situation where you don't feel comfortable because of the identity that you're holding on to. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a lot more when we get to that particular class in this retreat, but this was just an introduction to help you guys to be able to understand it at this point. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and see what questions you guys have about any of these three universal truths. Remember, online, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom, and then here you guys can use the microphones. You have a question?
Yes. I'm thinking, if you get fascinated by landscapes or nature, would that be a conditioned feeling?
Yes. Based on being in nature, I'm happy. But if I'm sitting in the library, I'm frustrated and bored.
Not necessarily.
What you would like to be able to get to is where you can enjoy being in nature, but you don't have conditioned pleasant feelings. This is something that the mind doesn't know how to do in the unenlightened state. By enjoying your time in nature, you can enjoy that, but also if you're in a mall, you can enjoy that, or if you're in a library, you can enjoy that, or if you're sitting by yourself at a bus stop, you can enjoy that. You can enjoy anything that you're involved in. That's what an enlightened being is going to be experiencing. They're not going to experience disappointment or frustration or agitation just because of where they are in the world. And the way that you get to that is that you don't allow the mind to get conditioned pleasant feelings just because you're in nature. Because now when you're not doing that, you won't feel good. So like, let's just say you're in a city like Bangkok where there's lots of concrete and there's no tree. Well, there are trees, but not as many as here in Chiang Mai, right? And now you're there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And now you feel closed in. You feel like you're in a box and you don't feel comfortable. You feel stress and anxiety because you haven't been out in nature. So you would like to get to the point where you can enjoy being in nature, but you can also enjoy being in a city like that too. And now that's where your mind's free and it's liberated. Where if you can only have happiness when you're in nature, then your mind's not free.
Okay. And can you be hit or fascinated by a landscape without causing conditioned feelings about it?
Perhaps, yeah. Like when I see like golf courses, I used to play golf. I think they're beautiful. You go out. That's the thing I used to enjoy about playing golf, really, is walking on the golf course. They're absolutely beautiful. They're stunning. Like a lot of them are very, very beautiful, right? You can enjoy that. And then when you're gone from that, you're not disappointed. You know, like if you're like, oh, I have to leave. This is such a beautiful view. I don't want to leave. That's the craving and clinging, because the mind is holding on. Whereas if you can enjoy it within the present moment, wow, this golf course is really beautiful, or this beach is really beautiful, or this mountain scenery is really beautiful. But then when it's over, you move on. You're not holding on to it and longing and yearning for it. Okay. So I don't see any other questions anywhere. Okay, so one more building block before I help you understand the Four Noble Truths, so you can have this breakthrough to understanding what's causing your discontent feelings. This is called craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. This is where your mind is longing, yearning for something. This is where the mind thinks the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases and chases and chases and chases and chases after it. If you've ever been in the mall and you've been like, oh, a new pair of shoes, I just got to get those. Oh, they're going to look so great on my feet. I can't wait to get those. It's not the shoes that is the craving, desire, attachment. It's the way that the mind is longing, yearning for it. Or maybe it was a video game or a piece of jewelry or something else that the mind was longing, yearning for it. It's like the mind thinks the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide lasting satisfaction. It's almost like an unquenchable thirst. The mind's like, oh, I want $40,000 a year for my salary. If I can get $40,000 a year, everything will be perfect. So you chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it. And then you get it and you're happy. But then you want more. You want 70 or 80,000. They just want more and more and more. Okay, so this is something that's going on inside your mind. It's not the object itself. There's no problem with money. Money isn't the problem. The problem is the mind longing, yearning for it. right? And just forming its inner feelings based on whether you have it or whether you don't have it. So the craving, desire, attachment is the longing, yearning. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So if you guys understand this, now we can understand the Four Noble Truths, and you can have a breakthrough to finally, once and for all, understanding what's causing your discontent feelings, so that then you can actually eliminate them. So this first Noble Truth is explaining the problem. Everyone that is unenlightened will experience discontentedness. This is the problem that you're experiencing. Your mind's going up and down and up and down. That it'll be sunny outside, you'll be so happy and excited, but then it's raining and you'll be frustrated and agitated or annoyed. Or then your bank account balance is up here and you're so happy and excited, but then it goes down here and you're frustrated or annoyed. This is the problem that every unenlightened being is experiencing. There's peace and calmness here and there, but it's only a matter of time before you get frustrated or annoyed or shy or embarrassed or disappointed or some other discontent feeling. So this is the problem. Everyone that is unenlightened will experience discontentedness. The cause of that problem is in the second Noble Truth. Discontentedness is caused by our own cravings, desires, attachments, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world is impermanent, right? I'm going to say that a few times and give you some examples. The discontentedness, the pleasant feelings, painful feelings, neither painful nor pleasant. They're being caused by craving, desire, attachment, the mind longing, yearning, wanting things to be a certain way. The mind's craving permanence. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if you don't get what you want, you get painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. The mind's craving permanence, but it lives in an impermanent world. But the mind doesn't understand that because of its lack of wisdom. So here's some examples so you can see it. Think back to maybe a relationship that you were in, maybe like a boyfriend or girlfriend. And when you guys first got together, you were probably really happy. You're really excited because you have this new person in your life. They're showing you affection. Maybe they're sending you text messages, checking in on you, see how you're doing. Maybe they're inviting you to dinner, or maybe you're going to the movies. Maybe you're going to the park. Maybe you're going on these really nice walks. Maybe you're having great conversations. Maybe you're even having sex. You're having intimate contact, right? So now your mind's having all this pleasure, right? But then over time, the relationship becomes more and more angry. You become more and more frustrated in the relationship. And now you guys break up. And now you might be even more angry, even more frustrated. You might be lonely or bored. You might be missing this person. This is because the mind's craving permanence. It's wanting the relationship to be permanent, when in reality it is impermanent. It's not your love that's causing this. This is what people tend to think, that it's because I love this person or I care for this person that you're experiencing painful feelings. But love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. That doesn't cause painful feelings. What's causing the painful feelings is the mind is holding on and craving permanence. When the mind's getting what it wants, which is the person in your life, you get happy. But when they're not in your life anymore, now you experience the painful feelings. And this relationship is impermanent. Even if you guys were together for the rest of your life, more likely than not, one of you would have died first. Right? And now when they're gone, you experience painful feelings. So it's the same thing, like say grandma and grandpa or mom or dad or brothers and sisters die, right? If they're alive, you're happy. But when they die, the mind grieves and has sorrow because the mind's holding on. It's wanting them to be permanent. This is a normal thing. Because people are born, they have to die. It's just impermanence. That's all it is, that there's been change. And the mind doesn't like that change. Right? You can see this at weddings, right? If you go to a wedding, someone might be crying at the wedding. Mom and dad or brothers and sisters might be crying. That's because this person is going off into the world with someone else. And mom and dad and brothers and sisters, their mind is holding on. And it's like, that's my brother. That's my sister. How dare you take her away from me, right? That's the way the mind is working, that it thinks that this person's going off into the world with somebody else. And now they're upset. Now they're frustrated, or now they're sad or grieving, right? All that's happening here is change, that this person isn't going to be in your life permanently. You can think back to when you were a child, maybe you were dropped off at university or college, or maybe if you could think back to when you were dropped off at school the very first time. When children go to school the very first time, they're usually crying and crying and crying because their mind is holding on to mom and dad. They thought mom and dad were permanent. And now here they go off into the world by themselves at 3 years old or 5 years old or 6 years old. And they cry and cry and cry. Mom and dad might be crying too when their kid's going off into the world. This is the mind craving permanence. That's what's causing it, where the mind is actually in an impermanent world, but it's craving permanence. You can also see this, like say you bought a brand new car, right? And now you really pleased with that brand new car, and you take it and you drive it off the parking lot, you park at a store, and you go inside, and you come out and you see a scratch on your car. Oh, you're so frustrated. I saved so much money for that car. Oh my goodness, it's got a scratch on it. And you're so upset. Well, it's not the scratch that's causing it. And it's not the person who scratched your car. What's causing the painful feelings is the mind's craving permanence. It wants this car to be permanently beautiful when it's not possible. The paint's going to fade. The tires are going to need to be changed. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. This is impermanence. This is just change. But the mind craves permanence. And the mind is happy and excited when it gets what it wants. But when it doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings. And what the mind's going to tend to do is it's going to attribute those painful feelings to something external. You'll think that somebody else is causing you to be angry. This is where your mind becomes unskillful, because those painful feelings don't feel comfortable. So what you might do is you might push somebody away. You might have pushed away friends or family out of your life. Or you might have been bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, speech, and actions. Or you might have put your expectations on people, try to control people and force them to do things your way. I'm sure you've been in arguments where you've been adamantly trying to convince somebody that what they are doing are making you angry, and they have to stop doing what they're doing, or else you're going to keep getting angry. Right? This doesn't actually solve your problem, right? Because you can see you still get annoyed, you still get frustrated. Because if you push people away, if they are the true cause of your problem, when you push them out of your life, you'd be happy for the rest of your life because you've just solved your problem, right? But that's not the true cause of the problem. That's why when you push people out of your life, it doesn't solve your anger and your frustration. Or when you're bitter, harsh, and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions, that doesn't solve your problem either. That's like trying to fear somebody into doing things your way, like an animal growling and roaring at another animal. And that doesn't solve your problem. It just damages your relationships. Or when you try to put expectations on people and try to control them, they feel pressured and they might actually choose to leave out of your relationships, right? You might actually have people doing this to you too. People might be pushing you away or being bitter, harsh, and hostile with you, or putting their expectations on you and trying to control you. Well, this doesn't work. But you can see that this is all coming from the lack of wisdom of this second noble truth, that the mind in the unenlightened state firmly believes that it's other people who are causing you to be angry and frustrated. But this is where the breakthrough can happen. You can break through to be able to see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. And if you can break through to that, then you can actually solve it. But if you keep believing that other people are causing you to be angry, you'll never actually be able to solve this problem. So here's the way you do it, because you need to independently verify that what I'm sharing with you is true. Don't believe me. Take a recent situation where you've been angry or frustrated or agitated or annoyed. It might have been this morning. It might have been yesterday. It might have been last week. Look at that situation with these fresh eyes, with this new wisdom. What was it that your mind was longing and yearning for? At that time, you might have been trying to blame somebody else, but look at it with these fresh eyes. What was it that you were longing, yearning for? And if you would have got it, you would have been happy. But because you didn't get what you wanted, You got angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling, right? Let's just say you showed up to the airport and you were so excited to go to Thailand. You just can't wait to go to Thailand. You're so excited, and you show up to the airport and your flight's delayed or it's canceled. You'll be frustrated because your mind's craving permanence. It wants every single airplane to take off at the exact same time, or the time that is scheduled, right? And this just isn't possible. There's going to be an equipment issue with the airplane. There's going to be a crew issue. There's going to be a weather issue. Every plane can take off as scheduled. But if your mind craves permanence, when you show up and your flight's delayed, you'll be frustrated and irritated and annoyed, right? That mind is causing it itself. It's not the airline company that's causing that. So yelling and hollering at the airline company isn't going to solve your problem. It's your own mind that's causing this, right? So you need to be able to see this. And if you don't see it, let me know. I will help you. I've had students share all kinds of things over the years that they weren't able to see it themselves. One time I had a student contact me. They said, David, I went to work the other day and my house looked beautiful. And when I came home from work, my wife had a craft project all over the house. The house was a mess. And I got frustrated when I walked in. How did my mind cause the discontentedness? How did my mind cause the frustration? She's the one who messed up the house. Didn't she cause me to be frustrated? Nope. Your mind was craving permanence. You expected and wanted the house to look exactly the same. When you left, it looked a certain way. And when you came home, your mind was craving for it to look exactly the same way. And that is permanence. And you live in an impermanent world. This house isn't going to look exactly the same. So just like your house can't look that way permanently, this craft project isn't permanent either. Your wife's going to put it away, or maybe you put it away with her. You help her, right? So as long as the mind's craving permanence, you're going to sometimes get what you want. You're going to be happy. But sometimes you're not going to get what you want, and you're going to be angry and frustrated. That's the mind causing this itself. And you need to be able to see it through your own example so that you can break through to being able to see the true cause of your discontentedness. Because if you continue to walk around the world thinking that other people are causing you to be angry and frustrated, you'll never actually solve this. You'll never solve it. You'll just continue to be angry and frustrated your entire life. So you can look back over the course of your entire life. Every time you've been angry or sad or frustrated or some other discontent feeling, it's been your own mind causing it the entire time. Now, somebody else might have been doing something unwise, but that's not what's causing you to be frustrated or angry. It's your craving, desire, attachment. Think about this for a moment. Think about when we were children and we went to mom and dad. And we said, Mommy, Daddy, can you give me chocolate and ice cream? And they're like, sure, little David, here you go. Here's your chocolate and ice cream. Ah, thank you, Mommy. You're the best mommy ever. Oh, thank you so much. Right? And now the next day comes around. Mommy and Daddy, can you get me chocolate and ice cream? Sure, here you go. Here's your chocolate and ice cream. Ah, thank you so much. You're the best Mommy and Daddy ever. Right? The third day comes along. Mommy and Daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? No, you can't have chocolate and ice cream. You're the worst Mommy and Daddy ever. Right? This is the mind craving permanence. It wanted that chocolate and ice cream to be permanent. It's not mom and dad that's causing the anger and frustration. It's your mind craving permanence, wanting that chocolate and ice cream to be permanent, when in reality, it's not permanent. You can't have chocolate and ice cream every day. But as a child, boy, did we crave it, right? We wanted chocolate and ice cream to happen every day. And when we didn't get it, we were angry or frustrated, right? So you can see that it's your own mind that's been causing these feelings. And like I said, I know you've been in arguments where you've been adamantly trying to convince people that they were causing you to be angry and frustrated. But you can look back on that and see that it was your own mind all along. And you don't need to feel guilty or shameful about this, because this is what every unenlightened mind is experiencing. But now that you have this wisdom, this is where you can break through to being able to see the solution. Because if craving, desire, attachment is the cause of your discontent feelings, well, the third noble truth is explaining to you the solution. That The elimination of discontentedness is possible by eliminating craving, desire, attachment. If you eliminate the cause, you'll eliminate the effect. By eliminating your craving, your longing, your yearning, your wanting things to be permanent, you'll actually eliminate your discontent feelings. So the third noble truth is showing you that this is possible. And you know this is possible because think back to that boyfriend or girlfriend that you broke up with. When you first broke up, you were angry, you were frustrated, you were lonely and bored and missing this person. But at some point, your mind said, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it. I don't care. Right? And you let go. Your mind let go. Or you're like, you know what? If she wants to move to another part of the world, so be it. Your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back into your mind because you had let go. You eliminated this craving for permanence for this person to be in your life permanently. The way to actually do this is the fourth noble truth. This is the complete perfect plan that's going to teach you how to eliminate this longing, yearning, and craving for permanence. The path to eliminating discontentedness is the Eightfold Path. This is the complete perfect plan that's going to teach you how to accomplish this. And it starts with right view. Right view is having the right view that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Wrong view would be to blame other people. As long as you're blaming other people for the feelings and emotions that you're having, you will never solve this. So that's why the Buddhist teachings start with right view. It's the very first teaching because he's guiding you to eliminate discontent feelings. But how could you ever eliminate them if you didn't understand what was causing them? So that's why he starts you with the Four Noble Truths as the very first teaching. That's what's called right view. So if you establish right view, what you would do to practice this on a daily basis, now that you've learned it and you've independently verified it, the way you practice it is anytime you're angry or frustrated or irritated or annoyed or any of these other discontent feelings, instead of blaming other people, you look inward. You try to figure out, what am I craving here? What am I longing and yearning for? What do I want? What am I expecting? And now if you can uncover that, you can train your mind to let that go. Right? So if you're noticing that when it's raining outside that you're frustrated, agitated, and annoyed, you start looking inward. You're like, what is the mind craving here? What is it longing, yearning for? I'm craving for the sun to be permanent, and the sun is not permanent. Now you can train your mind to let that go. Or if you look at your bank account balance and your bank account balance has changed and it's gone down and you get frustrated or agitated or annoyed, you can see that your mind's craving your money to be permanent. In reality, it is impermanent, and you can train your mind to let this go. But you're going to need this entire path to be able to train your mind to let go. And this is what I'm going to teach you this evening from 6:30 to 8:30. I'm going to teach you every single factor so that you can understand how to implement this in your life and be able to actually practice it and experience the benefits and the results. So do you guys have any questions on the Four Noble Truths and establishing right view? Let me see if we have any questions online. I don't see any questions. Okay. No question? You have a question, Gala? By the way, this young lady online said she's from Spain too. So you guys might like to talk.
We'll meet next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure I understand right, three universal truths, non-self could be included in impermanence?
Say again?
Could the third universal truth of non-self be included in impermanence in the first one?
Impermanence and the universal truth of non-self are two separate universal truths, but you can see that because of the universal truth of impermanence, that completely helps you to understand the universal truth of non-self, that there is no permanent self. You can see it very clearly by factoring in the universal truth of impermanence.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. By the way, this young lady says she was born in Mexico, but she's lived the last 10 years in Barcelona, Spain. Okay, yeah. Gala is from Spain as well. Okay, so I don't see any other questions here anywhere through our platforms. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to what's called the 3 poisons, or the 3 unwholesome roots, or the 3 fires. This is going to broaden your understanding of what's really going on in the unenlightened mind and deepen it, right? So the Four Noble Truths is giving you like a little window into the unenlightened mind, helping you to be able to see that it's craving, desire, attachment that is the cause of your discontent feelings. So now we're going to broaden that it's not just craving, it's also anger and ignorance, which is a problem as well. And that's what the teachings of the Buddha are helping you to be able to eradicate. So what the 3 poisons are is craving, anger, and ignorance. Some people refer to it as greed, hatred, and delusion. This is where the mind is longing, yearning, that craving, desire, attachment, thinking that the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases it and chases it and chases it. And if it gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings. It gets so happy and excited. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings. And one of those painful things that are arising is the anger, the bitterness, the harshness, the hostility. And that's where the mind becomes unskillful. It will push people away. It will be bitter, harsh, and hostile, or it'll put its expectations on people. And where this is all coming from is its ignorance, or the unknowing of true reality, that the mind just doesn't understand what it doesn't understand. It will firmly believe that other people are causing you to be angry or frustrated. So while we call it craving, anger, and ignorance, it's really because of ignorance that the craving and anger continues. Now, this word ignorance is kind of like a derogatory word. I tend to use the word confusion or misunderstanding, or the unknowing of true reality, the lack of wisdom, the misperception. That's a better way to think about it, that the mind just lacks wisdom, that it doesn't understand what it doesn't understand. And because of this lack of wisdom, it continues to crave and it continues to have anger. But when you arise wisdom in your mind and you can see true reality of what's actually happening, you can eliminate your craving and anger. But as long as that ignorance is in the mind, you can't eliminate your craving and anger because you don't even realize that that's a true problem. So the Buddha's teachings bring you to understand that this craving, this longing, yearning, this burning desire, this unquenchable thirst is causing your mind to experience discontent feelings. So you need to train your mind to let go. That's where the breathing mindfulness meditation comes in, and your generosity. By training your mind to let go, this is what's going to help you to be able to get to peace and to joy. That's why you're training your mind in the meditation and then generosity. Because with craving, desire, attachment in your mind, it'll hold on. You'll be really selfish, potentially. You can hold on to things and want things to be a certain way. And the tighter you hold on, the more it hurts. Right? But when you let go, that's where your mind can be peaceful and joyful. But the mind doesn't know how to let go in the unenlightened state because it hasn't been trained to do that. That's where the breathing mindfulness meditation comes in 2 or 3 times a day for 30 minutes or more. Right? And that's where your generosity comes in, where you're giving and sharing more than is strictly required in any given situation. So like when you practice generosity this morning, this was really helpful for your mind, right? To train your mind to let go and give and share with other people around you. You would like to do this without any expectation of anything in return, not even a thank you. Because if you're standing there holding the door, practicing generosity, and you expect this person who walks in to thank you, you'll be angry when they don't say thank you. So you need to be able to practice generosity to the point that you understand that it's enhancing the quality of your mind. That's the only goal of your generosity, is to enhance the quality of your mind, not wanting or expecting anything from anybody as a result. So if you can practice breathing mindfulness meditation on a consistent, ongoing basis in generosity, this is really targeting your craving, desire, attachment. And with both of these things, frequency is more important than the amount. That's why if you had a choice between one meditation for 30 minutes or 2 for 15, the 2 for 15 is actually more beneficial because your mind's having to let go more frequently throughout your day. The same thing's true about generosity. If it was a matter of giving $500 once a year or $1 a day to a children's orphanage, you would like to give $1 a day, because that's actually training your mind to let go more frequently. And that's going to be more helpful, more beneficial to your mind. So this craving, desire, attachment is fully eliminated through practicing the Eightfold Path. But the things that are targeting it are breathing, mindfulness, meditation, and generosity. Because when your mind's not getting what it wants, your anger is going to arise. And when your anger is arising, that's where you become unskillful, and that's where you damage your relationships. And you can't live harmoniously with all people around you. That's where you push people away, you're bitter, harsh, and hostile, or you put your expectations on people and try to control people. And now people don't want to be around you because they feel this bitterness and harshness and hostility and these expectations coming from you, and they feel pressured. Right? So you can't live harmoniously with all people because it's only a matter of time before somebody does something opposite of what you want or what you expect. If you can only spend time with people who do things your way, there's only one person in the world who does things your way. Do you know who that is? Who's the one person that does things your way all the time? Yourself. That's it. So if you can only spend time with people who do things your way, you can only spend time with one person. And you might even find that to be challenging sometimes, right? So what the mind's going to do in the unenlightened state is if people meet your expectations, you will like them. But if they don't meet your expectations, you will dislike them. That's coming from your own mind. It's not coming from the other person. It's your craving, desire, attachment that's leading to your anger. But not just the anger, the frustration, the irritation, the annoyance, but even dislike, where the mind dislikes other people, right? You can get to the point where you have love and kindness for everybody, realizing that people are going to do things differently than you because of the universal truth of impermanence. So you're going to need to eliminate that craving for permanence, but also you need to eliminate the anger. And the way to do that is with loving kindness meditation, in practicing loving kindness in your day-to-day life through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. And it's the Eightfold Path that's going to teach you how to do that. So there's another type of meditation that I'm going to teach as part of this retreat, where it's going to essentially rewire your mind to be loving and kind. It's not a one-day thing or a one-week thing or even a one-month thing, but over the course of your life, you can rewire your mind to be loving and kind with everybody around you. And this is going to completely transform your mind through your intention, speech, and actions going out into the world, being loving and kind. You're going to need the meditation, but you need to go out into the world and be loving and kind. You can't meditate your way to love and kindness. The loving kindness meditation is like filling up your gas tank, and then you need to go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intention, speech, and actions. And it's the Eightfold Path that's going to teach you how to do that. So this is going to knock down your anger and your hatred and your ill will, the hostility, the aggression, the resentment. It's even going to eliminate any negative self-talk within your own mind where you're degrading and diminishing to yourself, right? So you can be loving and kind with all beings, including yourself. Right? There's no need to be bitter and harsh and hostile. Sometimes people hold on to their anger, hold on to a grudge because they think they're getting back at somebody else. But this is like holding on to a hot coal and trying to burn somebody else. The only person getting burned is you. So as long as you hold on to your anger, you're just harming yourself. And your mind's not liberated. It's not free. So what the Buddha teaches you to do is how to get free of that anger through training your mind with loving kindness meditation and going out into the world and be loving and kind with all the people around you. So where this craving and anger is coming from is this third one, the ignorance, the unknowing of true reality, the confusion, the misunderstanding, the misperceptions that the mind has about the world. The mind goes around believing that it's other people who are causing you to be angry. The mind firmly believes this, but you don't know what's true or false because you haven't really peered into it. You need to be able to see true reality, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. And that's where you arise wisdom. And that's why the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. You're not believing what might be true. You're not believing the things that the Buddha teaches you. You're learning, examining, and investigating his teachings. You're then reflecting on them to independently verify whether they're true or they're false. And then you're practicing his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life. And that's where you arise wisdom. And that's the antidote to getting rid of this ignorance, is arise wisdom. You're going to need wisdom of the three universal truths, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the five precepts, the Brahma Viharas, the natural law of Karma, the seven factors of enlightenment. You're going to need to know extensive meditation training and how to eliminate the 10 fetters. These are all things that you're going to need to know about. You're going to need the wisdom of this. And that's why you gradually, slowly, but surely learn and grow and develop on the path. You can't sit under a tree, meditate, and instantly get to enlightenment. Just not possible. That's not what the Buddha did. He gradually trained his mind to enlightenment. And it's the same thing that you're going to need to do. But you need to arise the wisdom of how to do that. And that's why it's gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. Okay, so just to kind of summarize what I'm sharing, then I'll open up to questions that you guys have, is there's these three poisons, the three unwholesome roots, or the three fires. They're called craving, anger, and ignorance. I refer to this as the unknowing of true reality, because ignorance is like a derogatory word, and it's a kind of unwise, or it is unwise, to refer to people in derogatory ways. Right? But sometimes people refer to this as greed, hatred, and delusion, or desire, ill will, and confusion. Right? So these are all ways to describe these unwholesome roots. And whenever you make decisions through these unwholesome roots, it's going to produce unwholesome results in your life. But more and more, as you're bringing down the three unwholesome roots, you're increasing the wholesome roots. The wholesome roots are generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. When you make decisions through generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, it will produce wholesome results in your life, or wholesome Dhamma. These are the antidotes or the remedies that are going to transform your mind. And more, as you're making decisions through generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, you're going to see that you're experiencing more and more wholesome results in your day-to-day life. So this is what you're eliminating. When we talk about the pollutions of the mind that the Buddha teaches you to eliminate, you're eliminating these pollutions, right? This is how we talk about them from a high level. But when we talk about them in detail, it's the 10 fetters. And that's what we're going to spend this entire retreat helping you to be able to understand is what are these 10 fetters? What are the symptoms of them, how to eliminate them, and how to know that you've actually eliminated them. But you need to understand this level of detail as well, the three poisons. So any questions here about the three poisons? For those of you guys online, remember you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom and ask questions that you like. So it looks like we don't have any questions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break for 6 hours here to give you guys a chance to go have lunch, to go out and do whatever you'd like to do in your day. Maybe you need to go to work. Maybe you'd like to go do some excursions or things like that. This is free time where I'm going to come back this evening at 6:30 and I'm going to teach the Eightfold Path, all the individual factors to be able to help you understand how to actually get to enlightenment through the teachings of the Buddha. So if you guys would like to take a break until 6:30, that's where I'm going to come back and actually teach you guys more from there. So enjoy your day, whatever you choose to do, and perhaps I'll see you this evening. Okay? Sawadee Kap.